Hi, welcome back. Thanks for watching. This is the series where I take you step by step through the hopeforbraden.org website. And right now we're on letter number 2. So let's get to it.
This one says, when Ashley's son Braden James was born to this world, he was born into the most loving arms any child could ever ask for, maybe because of the hardship she went through as a child, or maybe just because it makes sense. She wanted Braden to have the most caring, loving, and nurturing home possible. Around age 3, if I remember correctly, Braden was diagnosed with autism. It was only after a year or two of tests and doctor visits that this diagnosis was made, as Braden had been showing signs of developmental challenges. I can only imagine that several emotions and thoughts go through a mother's mind when she learns of such diagnosis: fear, anger, and sadness, just to name a few. When he was diagnosed, I was living in California and they in Pensacola. I had been able to witness only little tidbits of his newborn and toddler days. Most of what I learned was from phone calls or emails with Ashley. As soon as it was determined that Braden had autism, I began learning about the condition and what it truly meant. But not because I started doing homework, only because Ashley, as soon as she learned of it, began researching her fingers to the bone to get all of the information she possibly could. She then began educating our family and friends about it endlessly. She wanted everyone that was going to be involved in Braden's life to understand how he worked, to put it simply. While I have known Gene since Ashley began dating him, my contact with him about Braden has never been steady. I was quite close to both of them for a while when I still lived in Florida, but after the diagnosis of autism was made, I didn't have contact with him like I did with Ashley. He had contact information for me and several members of our family, but it was always Ashley who was learning about autism, passing that information along to our friends and family, and regularly updating us with his progress. During every trip I made home to Florida during the time I lived in California, Ashley was always present at family gatherings with Braden. She didn't always have Gene with her, since Gene didn't always make the trip from Pensacola to Panama City with them. When he did attend with them, he usually left earlier than Ashley, and most of the time without Braden. I don't know of a time during those years when I ever saw Ashley without Braden with her, but it was completely normal to see the father and without Braden. And I had not at that time witnessed the father taking care of Braden without Ashley present. In January of 2007, Ashley had to have surgery, which was going to put her on bed rest for about a week following the procedure. Knowing that she needed help taking care of Braden and would be unable to keep constant eyes on him as was needed, I immediately flew to Pensacola from Los Angeles to help out. I was in Pensacola for approximately 7 days. The day before Ashley's surgery, I had her walk me through a normal day with Braden. I knew that he had certain dietary needs because of his autism and was on a particular regimen with vitamins and supplements. But having not been physically involved with his care, only being able to spend time with him during my visits to Florida, I needed to be educated prior to taking care of him. She wrote down his dosages and schedules for me and showed me all of the specific foods that he could eat and not eat. She also told me what signs to look for to know if he was hungry or upset, or all the things a good mother knows. That was a lot to take in and a lot to learn. These are things that a 5-year-old autistic child cannot tell you themselves because they do not communicate like other children do. Their caregivers have to know what to look for and how to react to everything in order to properly care for them. And Ashley has always done that with Braden. She was so thorough in explaining everything to me. She not only told me what he was taking, but why. She told me what he ate and couldn't and why. And she told me behaviors to look out for since he could not communicate those things to me. I want to speak specifically of one instance that occurred while I was in Pensacola on this trip. On one of the mornings I woke up with Braden, the father had not yet left for work. He didn't have to be in until later that day, and he was already awake. There were a couple of supplements that Braden always took first thing in the morning, and I had learned the routine at this point. But being that his dad was awake and in the house, I asked if he would rather administer the doses to Braden. The father asked if I knew what to give him, and I said yes, and I did. And since Ashley had taught me how to do everything the day before she went in for her surgery, he shrugged and said, "Ashley always does that. I don't even know what he takes." He then told me to go ahead since I knew what he was supposed to take and administer his supplements. While this is what I was there for to help out with, and I didn't blink an eye when it happened, it was strange to me that his own father didn't know what regimen Braden was on. Autistic children need things that other children do not, and it is a very large part of making sure that they are healthy to ensure that they get certain dietary supplements to aid with digestion and overall stability. During my time in Pensacola on that trip, I learned just how difficult dealing with a typical day is for the parent of an autistic child.